Welcome to your own personal deep dive today.
Oh, nice.
We're going to be cracking open The Millionaire Next Door
Okay.
by Thomas J. Stanley
Right.
and William D. Danko.
All right.
And we're exploring these audio excerpts from the book,
Okay.
specifically like this fascinating YouTube upload
Yeah.
that breaks down like the realities of wealth in America.
Yeah.
Ever wonder what your millionaire neighbor is really like? Get ready to have some assumptions challenged.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's captivating about this book is how it dismantles that flashy Hollywood image of millionaires that we always see,
Yeah,
The private jets and the yachts and all that.
totally. And the authors actually found that
Yeah.
most millionaires live surprisingly modest lifestyles.
Yeah.
Like think Timex watches,
Wow.
Ford cars,
Okay.
unassuming homes,
Huh.
just blending right into the fabric of everyday life.
Blending in.
Not exactly the,
Right.
private jet and yacht set, huh?
No, not at all. And there's this great anecdote about
Oh, yeah.
a trust officer who mistook a group of actual millionaires for truck drivers.
What?
They perfectly embody that, saying, big hat, no paddle.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
All show, no substance.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really intriguing.
Okay.
This invisibility is actually a key part of how they build their wealth.
Makes sense.
It's all about avoiding what's called lifestyle inflation.
Yeah.
So they can invest more of their income and let it grow over time.
Smart.
Yeah.
So what sets these under-the-radar millionaires apart?
Yeah.
Stanley and Danko identified 7 key traits.
Okay.
And they're not just about money management. They're about a whole mindset.
Okay, let's hear them. I'm all ears.
All right, so the first trait is living well below your means.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean deprivation,
Right.
but it does mean being conscious of your spending and making choices that align with your financial goals.
So it's more about intentional spending, not just penny pinching.
Exactly. It's about value over flash.
I like that.
The second trait is allocating your time, energy, and money efficiently,
Right.
with a focus on wealth-building activities.
Uh-huh.
This might mean investing in your education, starting a side hustle, or simply being smart about how you use your free time.
Makes sense.
What's next? The third trait is prioritizing financial independence
Okay.
over social status.
Got it.
It's about being comfortable with your choices, even if they don't scream wealth to the outside world.
I can already see how this ties back to that invisibility aspect we were talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fourth trait is not relying on parental financial support
Oh,
as an adult.
interesting.
This encourages self-sufficiency and a strong work ethic.
So it's about building your own foundation
Yes.
rather than relying on a safety net.
Exactly. Now, the fifth trait might seem a little counterintuitive,
Okay.
but it's having financially independent adult children.
Oh, wow.
This isn't about being unsupportive,
Right.
but rather about raising kids who are responsible and self-reliant.
Interesting. I can see how that would free up resources for both generations to focus on their own goals.
Precisely. The sixth trait is being proficient in spotting market opportunities.
Oh.
This might involve understanding real estate,
Ah.
recognizing undervalued assets, or simply being aware of trends and shifts in the economy.
So it's about being savvy and adaptable, always looking for ways to grow your wealth.
Exactly. And finally, the seventh trait is choosing the right occupation.
Okay.
This doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur,
Right.
although self-employment is statistically linked to wealth.
Interesting.
But it does mean finding a field that aligns with your skills, interests, and financial goals.
Makes sense. It's about finding the right fit for you, where you can thrive both personally and financially.
Yes.
Now, I'm really curious to dive deeper into some of these traits.
Okay, yeah.
Let's start with living below your means.
Right.
Since it seems so central to the millionaire mindset,
Yeah.
the book actually gives us great example
Yeah,
of a millionaire couple who buys their clothes at Dillard's and JCPenney.
that's right. And what's fascinating here is that it's not about deprivation. It's about a conscious decision to prioritize value over brand names. They likely recognize that quality doesn't always come with a luxury price tag,
Right.
and they're willing to shop around for the best deals.
So they're not trying to impress anyone. They're just making smart choices that align with their values.
Exactly.
That's a refreshing perspective.
Yes.
It really contrasts with the what the book calls them,
Okay.
under accumulator of wealth,
Right.
or UAW,
Yeah.
these high earners who spend it all trying to keep up with a certain lifestyle.
Exactly. And there's this compelling comparison in the book
Oh, yeah.
between two individuals, both the same age and earning the same income.
Okay.
Mr. Ford is a lawyer, your classic UAW, high income but high spending too, with a lot of debt.
Oh, no.
Then you have Mr. Richards, a mobile home dealer who lives a more modest lifestyle and invests his money wisely.
Okay.
And
And I bet I know where this is going.
you got it. Despite having the same income, Mr. Richards has a significantly higher net worth than Mr. Ford.
See, that really highlights how crucial budgeting and controlling your spending are,
Yeah.
even for high earners.
Yes.
It's not just about how much you make, it's about how much you keep and how you make it work for you.
Absolutely.
Right.
And to really drive this point home, the book shares this incredible anecdote about a millionaire's wife
Okay.
who received $8 million in company stock
Oh, wow.
and continued to cut coupons.
Yeah, $8 million and still clipping coupons. That's dedication.
I know, it's
It
amazing.
really shows that frugality is more about a mindset than a specific income level.
Right. It's a deeply ingrained habit that speaks to her values and priorities.
Right.
It's about being resourceful and mindful, even when you don't need to be.
Okay, that's amazing. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about economic outpatient care.
Ah, yes. The financial support parents sometimes provide to their adult children. This is where the book delves into some interesting family dynamics and how they can impact financial independence.
Yeah, the book actually tells the story of Lamar and Mary,
Oh, yeah.
this couple who live quite lavishly,
Mm-hmm.
but only thanks to handouts from Mary's wealthy mother.
Right.
It's like they're living beyond their means,
Yeah.
propped up by someone else's wealth,
Yeah.
and constantly anticipating a larger inheritance.
Right. And the story highlights how this kind of support, while well-intentioned, can sometimes hinder rather than help.
Yeah.
It can create a sense of entitlement and dampen initiative,
Hmm.
leading to financial dependence rather than independence.
So it's not that all parental support is bad,
No.
but it's about the type of support and the message it sends.
Right, exactly. The book differentiates between enabling dependence and empowering independence.
Okay.
Helping with education or a business startup, for example,
Great.
can provide a leg up without fostering reliance.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about giving a hand up, not a handout.
Precisely.
Hmm.
Now, shall we move on to another one of those 7 wealth-building traits?
Definitely. I think a lot of listeners, myself included, are wondering about choosing the right occupation.
Okay.
Are we on the path to building wealth?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And the book offers some fascinating insights into this.
Okay.
It acknowledges that not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And that's perfectly okay. There are plenty of paths to financial success.
That's a relief to hear.
Yeah.
But the book does highlight that self-employment is statistically linked to wealth,
Yes.
though it's not a guaranteed ticket to riches.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. It's not about specific industries making millionaires.
Okay.
The book actually uses the example of dry cleaners.
Oh,
Some are wealthy, some aren't.
right.
It really boils down to the individual, their approach and their choices, not
Yeah.
just the industry label.
So it's not about chasing the hot industry, but about finding the right fit for you and excelling within it.
Precisely. And this might surprise you, but the book suggests that dull, normal businesses, as they call them, can actually be quite profitable over the long term.
Wait, dull, normal businesses?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, take the Home Depot founders, for example.
Okay.
They essentially reinvented a seemingly ordinary industry,
Right.
building a hugely successful company through innovation strategy and smart execution.
Okay.
It wasn't about picking the flashiest field,
Right.
but about seeing potential where others didn't.
So it's about finding the opportunity within any field, not just assuming that certain industries are inherently more lucrative than others.
Exactly. And when it comes to specific career advice, the book points to fields that benefit from the spending habits of, well, millionaires.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's dive into those in part 2.
Remember, millionaires are out there living their lives, needing services just like everyone else.
Right.
And the book suggests that certain fields are particularly well-positioned
Right.
to cater to their needs and spending habits.
Sense. So what are we talking about specifically?
Well, legal services are a big one.
Okay.
Think about it.
Uh-huh.
Estate planning tax law,
Yeah.
even immigration law, especially with the anxieties of wealthy foreign investors,
Right.
like those mentioned in the book from Taiwan.
Okay, so tapping into the needs of a growing and increasingly global affluent population.
Exactly.
What other fields stand out?
Skilled healthcare specialists are another interesting area.
Okay.
This is about catering to the self-pay market,
Right.
bypassing insurance, and offering high-quality specialized services that affluent individuals are willing to pay for directly.
Interesting. So it's not just about the field itself,
Right.
but about positioning yourself within it.
Uh-huh.
Targeting the right clientele is key.
Precisely. It's about understanding the specific needs and desires of a particular market segment.
Got it.
And of course, there are the more traditional luxury-oriented niches,
Right.
antiques, fine art, high-end travel.
Right.
But again, the emphasis is on targeting the right clients,
Right.
those who genuinely value and can afford your expertise.
No point in trying to sell luxury to those who are just faking it.
Exactly.
Got to find those true millionaires next door.
Yes.
As we're talking about all this,
Yeah.
it really strikes me how powerful that recurring theme of frugality is.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices and getting the most value for your money, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And the used car examples from the book really highlight this point beautifully.
Yeah.
Millionaires aren't afraid to drive a used car, not because they're cheap, but because they understand that a car is a depreciating asset,
Right.
and they'd rather allocate their resources more effectively.
And the book tells this really inspiring story
Oh, yeah.
of an engineering professor who became a millionaire on a modest income.
Oh, I love that story.
Talk about proof that it's possible,
It's incredible.
but shows that you don't need a six-figure salary to build wealth.
Right.
You just need the right mindset and habits.
It's incredibly motivating, right?
Yeah.
It really underscores the idea that wealth is built over time. Uh-huh.
Through consistent habits and smart choices, not just luck or inheritance.
What about those people who look down on used car buyers,
Oh, yeah.
who think it's a sign of being poor?
Well, the book delves a little into the psychology of those under-accumulators of wealth,
Right.
and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
They often feel superior to those who are more frugal,
Okay.
not realizing that their own spending habits are actually holding them back.
It's like they need to justify their overspending by putting down those who are more disciplined.
Exactly. It's a classic case of keeping up with the Joneses gone wrong.
Speaking of keeping up appearances,
Okay.
there's another interesting aspect the book touches on
Yeah.
that we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
This idea of millionaires being more likely to own their own businesses.
Ah, yes, the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
The book dives deep into this,
Uh-huh.
examining why self-employment seems to be a common thread among many millionaires.
It's not necessarily that everyone needs to become an entrepreneur to build wealth.
But there's definitely something to be said for that independent mindset
Yeah.
and drive to create something of your own.
Absolutely. And the book offers some compelling insights into why this might be the case.
Okay.
For one, business owners often have more control over their income and expenses.
Makes sense.
They can set their own prices, negotiate deals, and make strategic decisions that directly impact their bottom line.
So it's about having that agency, that ability to shape your own financial destiny.
Precisely. And then there's the element of risk and reward.
Oh, yeah.
Entrepreneurs are often willing to take calculated risks,
Right.
to step outside their comfort zones and pursue opportunities that others might shy away from.
So it's about that entrepreneurial mindset, that willingness to embrace uncertainty and turn it into an advantage.
Exactly. And the book highlights how this risk tolerance can translate into significant financial rewards,
Okay.
as long as it's coupled with careful planning and execution.
Now, I'm curious, does the book say anything about what kinds of businesses are most likely to succeed?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The book challenges some common assumptions about what makes a good business.
Huh?
Remember those dull, normal businesses we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, they can be surprisingly profitable,
Really?
even more so than flashier, trendier ventures.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Why would dull, normal businesses have an edge?
Well, for one, they often cater to essential needs,
Okay.
things that people always need regardless of economic conditions.
Right.
Think about businesses like plumbing, HVAC repair, or even lawn care.
Uh-huh.
These are services that people rely on even in tough times.
So it's about finding those evergreen niches,
Exactly.
the ones that are always in demand.
Yes. And another advantage of these dull, normal businesses
Okay.
is that they often have less competition,
Yeah.
especially from those flashy startups that are chasing the latest trends.
Makes sense. So it's about finding those under-the-radar opportunities where you can build a solid, sustainable business without being in the spotlight.
Oh, precisely. And the book gives a really interesting example of this.
Okay, what is it?
The story of a man who built a successful business cleaning grease traps for restaurants.
You grease traps. Not exactly
Exactly.
what I had in mind, but I get the point.
Yeah.
It's about finding those niche markets where you can solve a real problem
Right.
and build a loyal customer base.
Exactly.
Now, before we wrap up part 2,
Okay.
I have to ask, what's the biggest takeaway you'd want listeners to walk away with?
That's a great question. I think the most important message is that building wealth is a journey, not a destination.
Hmm.
It's about making conscious choices, developing the right mindset, and cultivating habits that support your financial goals.
So it's not about getting rich quick,
Yeah,
but about building a solid foundation for long-term financial security.
exactly. And that's something that's achievable for anyone, regardless of their income or background.
Okay, that's super inspiring. And now I think it's time to move on to part 3, where we'll explore some even deeper questions about the meaning of wealth and what it truly means to live a rich life. All right, so we've uncovered a lot about the habits and mindsets of these millionaires next door, but what does it all really mean? What resonated most with you?
Yeah, beyond the practical advice on building financial wealth, what really strikes me is the emphasis on long-term thinking
Uh-huh.
and financial independence.
Right.
It's not about chasing those fleeting status symbols. It's about creating a life of true freedom and security.
And it makes me wonder, the book obviously focuses on financial wealth,
Yeah.
but could these same traits,
Mm.
like frugality, discipline, long-term thinking,
Yeah.
could they lead to other forms of wealth?
That's interesting.
Could they cultivate stronger relationships, greater happiness, or even more peace of mind?
That's a really thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
It makes you consider, could living below your means free up time and energy to focus on the things that truly matter?
Exactly.
Could prioritizing financial independence reduce stress and create space for personal growth and deeper connections?
Definitely shifts your perspective.
Yeah,
Instead of chasing a certain income level,
right.
it's about aligning your choices with what you truly value,
Exactly.
whether that's financial security, meaningful relationships, or personal fulfillment.
And the book touches on this idea of aligning your occupation with your values.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about earning a paycheck. It's
Yeah.
about finding work that's both financially rewarding and personally meaningful.
It reminds me of that quote.
Oh, yeah.
Find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
I love that word.
Maybe that's part of the secret to these millionaires' success.
Yeah.
They found a way to align their passions with their financial goals.
It's definitely a recipe for a more fulfilling life.
For sure.
And that sense of fulfillment can be a form of wealth in itself,
Totally.
perhaps even more valuable than any material possessions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that wealth isn't just about a number in your bank account.
Right.
It's about living a life that's rich in experiences, relationships, and personal satisfaction.
And that's something we can all strive for, regardless of our income or background.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices,
Yeah.
setting priorities, and designing a life that aligns with what truly matters to us.
Well said. And for anyone who's feeling inspired to take a deeper dive into these ideas, I highly recommend checking out The Millionaire Next Door for yourself.
Yeah.
It's packed with even more insights and real-life stories that will challenge your assumptions about wealth and success.
It's a classic for a reason. It offers a blueprint for building not just financial wealth,
Uh-huh.
but a life of meaning and purpose.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into The Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you've walked away with some new perspectives
Yeah,
and maybe even a few actionable insights to apply to your own life.
absolutely.
Remember, building a rich life is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's a journey we can all embark on, one conscious choice at a time. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.